The comparisons began when Jessica and I were children. She was 18 months older, articulate beyond her years, and possessed an innate ability to charm adults. I was quieter, more analytical, content to work on puzzles or tinker with electronics, while Jessica commanded attention at family gatherings. Jessica has such natural leadership qualities, Mom would tell relatives. She's going to do something important someday. When I won the state science fair in middle school, the family celebrated with one dinner. When Jessica was elected student body president the following year, Mom threw a party and invited half the neighborhood. The message was clear. Jessica's achievements mattered more because they involved people, politics, and the real world of adult success. High school only intensified the pattern. Jessica excelled in debate, student government, and social activities. She dated the football captain, organized charity fundraisers, and was accepted to Duke, planning to major in business administration. I spent my time in computer labs, building websites for local businesses and teaching myself programming languages not offered in any class. Your sister understands how to work with people, Dad explained whenever I complained about the different treatment. That's what business is really about. Relationships and communication. Technical skills are important, but leadership is what creates real success. Jessica's achievements were celebrated publicly. Mine were acknowledged privately, if at all. Her college years were everything the family had hoped for. She joined a prestigious sorority, interned with major corporations, and graduated summa cum laude with multiple Fortune 500 job offers. The family was justifiably proud. I chose a different path. While attending a state school for computer science, I built a software consulting business on the side. By sophomore year, I was earning more than most college graduates. By senior year, my clients included major corporations paying premium rates for custom software solutions. But when Jessica landed a management trainee position at a consulting firm, Mom organized another celebration dinner. When I mentioned my six-figure annual revenue, the conversation quickly shifted back to Jessica's fast track to executive leadership. She's got the education, the connections, the instincts, Dad told relatives. She's really going to make it big. The implication was clear. My technical work was a niche skill. Jessica's corporate trajectory was real success. By our mid-20s, the family's financial situation had started to unravel. Dad's manufacturing business struggled against overseas competition, and Mom's retail store was losing ground to online shopping. They kept up appearances with careful budgeting and creative financing, but the strain was obvious. Jessica, meanwhile, was promoted twice and earning a respectable salary. The family beamed with pride at her sophisticated downtown lifestyle. What they didn't know was that her expenses far exceeded her income. Designer clothes, networking events, and her trendy apartment came at a steep cost. She was drowning in credit card debt and had already borrowed against her 401k. Meanwhile, my consulting business had grown into a company developing enterprise software. We held patents, licensed technology to Fortune 100 firms, and secured recurring contracts worth millions. I lived modestly, drove a used car, and never discussed details with my family. To them, Jessica was still the success story. The first time I secretly helped was 3 years after college. Dad's company was near bankruptcy, and he was considering selling the family home. Through an investor group I quietly controlled, I arranged an emergency loan. The terms were generous, handled discreetly by lawyers. Dad never knew his lifeline came from his younger son, the one who supposedly didn't understand real business. That loan saved his company. Within 2 years it was profitable again. Dad credited smart planning and good timing, never suspecting my role. Other interventions followed. A mysterious loan for Mom's store renovations. An anonymous scholarship fund covering Jessica's MBA housing costs. Over the years, I became the family's invisible financial safety net, structuring everything through shell companies and legal arrangements to keep my involvement hidden. Jessica's acceptance into a top-tier MBA program elevated her to near-celebrity status in the family. Tuition was steep, but between loans, grants, and that scholarship fund, she graduated without financial strain. Her MBA will open doors most people can't even imagine, Mom boasted. She's networking with future CEOs and venture capitalists. That's the kind of education that creates real wealth. After graduation, Jessica's career accelerated. She landed a prestigious consulting role, traveled internationally and worked with C-level executives on mergers and acquisitions. The family was dazzled. What they didn't see was that Jessica's spending kept pace with and often exceeded her income. Meanwhile, my company expanded internationally. Offices in 3 countries. Partnerships with major tech firms. 8-figure personal wealth. I was courted by investment banks for acquisitions and IPOs. Still, within the family dynamic, nothing changed. Jessica was the golden child. I was the technical guy, who had done well enough but didn't really understand serious business. The Christmas gathering that changed everything came during Jessica's second year at the consulting firm. She'd just been promoted to senior consultant and was working on a high-profile merger. "The merger I'm working on involves 2 Fortune 500 companies," she said over dinner. "It's incredibly complex. Regulatory issues, cultural integration, financial restructuring. It requires understanding business at the highest level." Mom beamed. Dad nodded. "That's real business," he said. "Strategic thinking. Leadership. You can't learn that from books. You need experience at the highest levels." I listened politely, asking questions informed by my own experience with corporate acquisitions and partnerships. The family mistook my insights for naive curiosity. "It's nice you're interested in Jessica's work," Mom said later while we cleaned up. "Maybe you can learn how real business gets done." The condescension was gentle but unmistakable. During dessert, Jessica described her networking world. Industry conferences, client entertainment, social functions with CEOs and investment bankers. "These are people who control billions and shape entire industries," she said, glancing at me with sympathy laced with superiority. "It's a completely different world from small-scale technical work. You're dealing with market dynamics, regulatory environments, stakeholder management. It's not something you can figure out by working on computer projects." The family nodded in agreement. Jessica had voiced what they all believed. Technical skills were useful, but real success required strategy at the highest level. Then Mom delivered the line that ended 8 years of anonymous support. "You'll never be as good as your sister," she sneered. Jessica looked directly at me. "She's the successful one." Dad immediately agreed. Finally, someone understands business. The moment crystallized everything wrong with our family dynamic. After years of secretly providing the financial foundation that supported everyone's lifestyle and career success, I was still being dismissed as someone who couldn't compete with Jessica's corporate achievements. I looked around the table at the faces of people whose mortgages I had been paying, whose business loans I had been funding, whose lifestyles I had been subsidizing through anonymous investments and carefully structured financial arrangements. Then I replied calmly, "Ask her to pay your bills." The table fell silent. Mom's face showed confusion mixed with irritation. "What does that mean?" I pulled out my phone and called my primary wealth manager at J.P. Morgan Private Bank. "Hi, Patricia," I said when she answered. "I need to discuss restructuring some family investment positions." Confusion spread around the table. Jessica looked like she was watching me have a breakdown in public. "I want to review the anonymous funding arrangements for the Mitchell family accounts," I continued. "Specifically, the manufacturing business loans, the retail operation financing, and the educational support programs." Patricia's voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. "Of course, Mr. Mitchell. Your family support portfolio represents approximately $300 million in various loan guarantees, direct investments, and grant programs. Would you like to schedule a comprehensive review?" The silence was absolute. "Also," I added, "I want to discuss liquidating my position in Hartwell Consulting Group. I believe Jessica works there." "That's correct," Patricia confirmed. "Your investment firm acquired a 40% stake in Hartwell last year as part of their expansion financing. Your representative serves on their board of directors." I looked directly at Jessica. Her face had gone completely white. "Patricia, I'd like to understand what would happen if we withdrew that investment and called in the various family loans." "Well," Patricia said thoughtfully, "liquidating the Hartwell position would likely trigger a restructuring of their operations. As for the family loans, calling them would require immediate repayment of approximately $180 million in principal and accrued interest." Mom was staring at me as if I had just revealed I was an alien. "That's not possible," she whispered. I handed her the phone. Would you like to ask Patricia about the investment structure? The conversation with Patricia lasted 20 minutes. She patiently explained the network of companies, investment vehicles, and financial arrangements I had used to support the family while maintaining anonymity. The manufacturing business loans, the retail operation funding, the educational support programs, even Jessica's consulting firm. When Mom hung up, her hands were shaking. You've been paying our bills. I've been providing investment capital and loan guarantees, I corrected. Through properly structured financial arrangements designed to support family businesses and educational opportunities. Jessica finally found her voice. You own part of my company. My investment firm owns 40% of Hartwell Consulting Group. Yes. That capital injection funded their international expansion and technology modernization program. Dad shook his head slowly. The emergency loan that saved my business came from a fund I established specifically to support family ventures. I finished. The realization hit them all at once. Everything they had achieved over the past 8 years had been built on a foundation of capital provided by the family member they had consistently dismissed as less successful. Jessica's career, the golden standard of business success, was partially dependent on her supposedly unsuccessful younger brother. Mom and Dad's business recovery, their lifestyle, their financial security, all connected to my anonymous support. The weeks that followed that Christmas revelation were difficult. Decades of assumptions about success and competence were overturned. The family had to recalibrate who had truly been supporting whom. Jessica struggled the most. Everything she had believed about her professional achievements was complicated by the knowledge that her employer was partially funded by me. The sophisticated business world she had proudly described included capital from the brother she thought strategically naive. Yet something positive emerged: honesty. For the first time in years, we had genuine conversations about business and family. Jessica's corporate strategy expertise was valuable, but no more so than entrepreneurial success or technical innovation. Her MBA offered useful frameworks, but it hadn't taught her how wealth is actually created. I kept all the existing support arrangements in place. The anonymous loans remained. The investments continued. The educational programs stayed funded. But the dynamic had fundamentally changed. Instead of being viewed as the less successful sibling, I was finally recognized as someone who had built substantial wealth through technical expertise, strategic thinking, and careful capital allocation. My success wasn't lesser than Jessica's. It was different and in many ways more substantial. Jessica also began to appreciate that corporate success and entrepreneurial success require different skills, but equal intelligence and dedication. Her merger and acquisition experience was valuable, but not inherently superior to building and scaling companies. Most importantly, the family learned that success comes in many forms. Traditional corporate advancement matters, but so do innovation, entrepreneurship, and technical mastery. MBAs are valuable, but no more than solving real problems for paying customers. The comparison game that had defined our lives finally ended. 5 years after that Christmas, our family dynamic had stabilized into something healthier. Jessica left consulting to join my company as head of strategic partnerships, where her relationship skills shone. Mom and Dad's businesses thrived with ongoing investment support, but now they treated it with gratitude instead of entitlement. The golden child system of our childhood was dismantled. We were no longer competing for parental approval but recognized for our contributions and character. The pretending was over. The anonymous support continued, but now it was acknowledged, appreciated, and understood as part of a family wealth strategy. Most importantly, everyone learned that asking someone to pay the bills isn't just about money. It's about recognizing who truly provides the foundation that makes success possible. And the question of who understands real business never came up again, because now we all knew the truth.